Have you ever wondered why some people can eat pizza at night and feel perfectly fine while others bloat after a single bite of broccoli? Or why some people battle yeast infections, skin rashes, or gut issues over and over, no matter how many probiotics, cleanses, or medications they try? Here's the surprising truth: it is not really the bacteria, the fungus, or the yeast that's in control. The real culprit lies deeper. It's in your digestion, in what ancient wisdom calls your inner fire. Let me tell you about Sarah. She was the kind of woman who did everything right. She cut out sugar, took her probiotics faithfully, even drank those expensive green powders. But still, yeast infections kept coming back. The doctor's pills worked until they didn't. Then came the bloating, the gas, and the rash that wouldn't quit. One day she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I feel like these bugs have taken over my whole body and I can't fight them off." What Sarah didn't know, and what most of us don't realize, is that it wasn't the bugs that had the upper hand. It was her digestion. Her flame had lost its balance, and until that fire was restored, the symptoms would never going to stop. So today we're going to uncover what history, science, and even sacred texts say about these three fires of digestion: Mandagni, Tikshna Agni, and Vishma Agni, and how to bring yours back into balance and finally give you the relief that you've been searching for.
Gallbladder gone. Now what? Let's heal from the inside out.
Welcome to Gallbladder Gone? Now what? The podcast for Christian women navigating life after gallbladder removal. Hosted by Jami McQuivey, holistic nutritionist, wife, boy mum, grandma, and a firm believer in God's design for lasting health. Did you know that over 1.2 million Americans have their gallbladders removed every year, and that the majority of them are women? Even more eye-opening is that all gallbladder issues are digestive issues. And poor digestion is at the root of up to 80% of all disease, including hormone imbalances and weight struggles. While Jami isn't a doctor and this podcast isn't medical advice, she shares real solutions rooted in research, experience, and God's Word. Let's get practical, biblical, and real, one step at a time.
Welcome back to Gallbladder Gone, Now What? A podcast for Christian women. It's also for women and men who are struggling just with their digestion. So this is the show where history, science, and sacred texts meet wisdom and help you unlock the deeper truths about your health. My name is Jami, and today we're diving into something that sounds simple, but might just be the missing piece to your gut health: the fire of your digestion. So this is what ancient Ayurvedic texts and practitioners called Agni. Now it's spelled Agni, but it's pronounced Agni. So for those of us who have had our gallbladder removed and we know we have an Agni problem, and this is for the rest of you who are suffering but don't know why. And so this is the answer. So now before you picture a campfire in your belly roasting marshmallows with a stick with me, I want you to understand that whether you're battling reoccurring yeast infections, stubborn bacterial overgrowth, or those mysterious fungal flare-ups, the real culprit isn't just the microbiome. And a lot of people are really focusing on that, like heal the microbiome, more probiotics, all of those things. But there's a missing piece there. And so this is with digestion itself. So Ayurvedic practitioners understand that there are three types of Agni imbalance and one balanced Agni. So we're going to go through that today. So to give you a little bit of an idea of why this matters and to help you understand yours. So a little bit of history. So thousands of years ago, Ayurvedic practitioners in India were already connecting the dots between how we digest food and how disease develops. And so with this, they described Agni, which literally means fire, as the foundation of health. So if Agni was balanced, you had vitality. If Agni was off, disease crept in. So, in fact, there's a line from the Charaka Samhita, which is one of Ayurvedic's sacred medical texts, that says, when Agni is extinguished, the body is destroyed. When Agni is strong, the body thrives. So that's how central digestion is seen. Your inner flame was either sustaining your life or it was quietly dimming it. And I think that's what a lot of us go through. It's like over the years, a lot of people think that, oh, it's just because we're getting older. That's common, it's not normal. And so we can remain vital and healthy and strong throughout our whole lives. And so it's not something that just has to happen to us. It's just that it's so subtle and it goes on for so long that we just see it as an aging process, and it's not. So eventually, science joins the conversation here. So we fast forward to today's microbiome research. So scientists are finding that it's not simply the presence of bacteria, yeast, or fungus that makes us sick. Our body has these in small micro amounts, and it can manage. So the problem is the terrain in which they live. So think of your gut as a neighborhood. If the streets are clean, houses are well kept, and the lighting is good, we draw in good neighbors, good opportunities, housing prices go up, all of those sorts of things. But if we allow trash to pile up, broken cars in the driveway, all of these things, then everything gets out of balance, and then opportunistic organisms, like bad neighbors, start to move in, and they're like the Candida, the E. coli, or other troublemakers, and they start throwing block parties in your intestines, and that's when the rabble really starts coming out, and we have overgrowth like crazy. So, what creates this messy terrain? So, you guessed it, it's the digestion. So, when we're eating and we're not properly digesting food, it's being broken down very poorly, it becomes fuel for microbial overgrowth. So, this is why this happens. So, fungus, bacteria, and yeast are not the enemies. We in Western medicine, it's like, oh, that's the enemy. Let's kill it, kill it, kill it. But they're actually workers that have a job to do. So, according to both ancient wisdom and modern thinkers, these microbes show up when our environment gets out of balance. So, their job is to break down waste, thrive where oxygen and balance are missing, and remind you that the real issue isn't them. It's the terrain they're living in. So they're actually here to help us. They're the cleaners, they're the exterminators, they're the trash man who come in and clean stuff up. So if we keep creating trash for them, they're going to grow, they're going to get bigger. They're trying to do this amazing job. So once we get that back in balance, they start to go down, right? So once we get our inner fire of digestion, these microbes no longer need to take over. And so that's the goal. We want to say, hey, you know what? We don't have a lot of trash. We don't need you here as much, and then escort them out. But what we're finding instead is that people are fighting and fighting these infections, and they keep taking these antibiotics and antifungals and everything, and it's not really helping. They're coming back, or in some cases creating worse problems. It's not that your body is failing you. It's just running on the wrong flame setting. So there are 3 different fires that we're going to be talking about. So you're going to notice that each one of them end in Agni, which means fire. So the first one that we like to talk about is Mandagni. And this is the sluggish fire. So this is really slow digestion. So I want you to picture a weak campfire just struggling to catch the wood. And so it's like, smoky, it's kind of wet and damp, and you're trying to cook food on it, right? And so the food just kind of sits. Part of it's cooked on one side, it's raw on the other. It's not doing well. And this becomes a perfect buffet for the yeast and bacteria. So with digestion like this, we tend to have things like bloating and heaviness. Like you can eat something and hours later it still feels like, oh, it's just sitting there. And then I mean, I had this Manda Agni, and I thought it was like normal to feel so heavy after dinner and so bloated that I would always fall asleep on my left side because that would give me relief. And to finally find out that digestion doesn't have to feel like this, and to fix it and then to go to bed not feeling uncomfortable, not feeling bloated, and to wake up energetic, like it changed my world. And so this is really, we don't want to feel like we have a food baby in our belly, that just gross feeling. So this is what science would call slow motility and low stomach acid that will allow pathogens to multiply. So I have talked about this in a previous podcast about stomach acid and getting that up, but keep keep listening, keep learning, keep trying these things. And so um, in Proverbs 13:4 it says, "The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied." And it makes me think that, sluggish digestion is like sluggard energy. It craves nourishment, but it never fully receives it. It's just, it's a really hard place in which to get the nourishment and absorption that we need. And this is honestly where a lot of people start to gain a lot of weight. And because Mandagni is just really slow, that the body's like, well, I don't have anywhere to put this. We're not really digesting it. Bacteria, fungal overgrowth, we have some yeast going on. We're also going to shove whatever's left over in this section, in this section. And so that's one of the things. Please go to my website. It's Healthy by Design, the number 4U, and I'll put the link in the show notes. And you can see my before and after pictures. Like, I'm not one of those that is sitting there going, oh, I've never been through this. No, I was overweight. I was tired. And then there's a before and after picture. I love before and after pictures. So I want to share that with you. Okay, so if you don't have Mandagni, maybe you have Tikshna Agni. And this is overfired furnace. So this is where you imagine that now you have a bonfire, right? But it's burning hot. It's like the flames are 3 feet tall. And so when you try to put food on there, you put it in and it is like burnt and incinerated. It's not even cooked on the inside, it's burning on the outside. And it is incinerated so quickly that your body doesn't have time to absorb the nutrients. It just goes through the body, right? So this is people who have like irritated gut lining. They have acid reflux, ulcers, diarrhea. And so this is really where we start to have that inflammatory bacteria. And so a lot of people will say to me, like, oh, I have too much acid. And it's actually not so much too much acid in the stomach that causes this. It's inflammation in the body that is out of control. So we need to cool what we're eating. So things like cucumbers are really nice, cilantro, and some other herbs. And these are all things I'm going to talk to you about in my program, but that I have for you. But I want you to be thinking that this is like so hot and fiery that things just kind of go through. Um, so the science here is that there's an overproduction of an imbalance of the bacteria. And so now we start to have a lot of acidic situations going on. So we want to work through that. So, and Ecclesiastes warns that don't be too quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. So just like unchecked anger, unchecked digestive fire burns everything in its path, leaving damage behind. And so with each one of these digestive imbalances, are emotional components, right? So in Mandagni, we can have a little bit of depression, a little bit of sadness, a little bit of loneliness that begins to happen. Tikshna Agni is kind of like we have that fire. We can get angry really fast. I have this broken down in my program with slides and what to do and how to do it and when to do it, but I'm trying to give you just a little bit of information to help you right out of the gate. And so the third one that I want to talk about is what we call Vishma Agni. And so this is like the flickering flame. It's not on, but it's not off. It just kind of goes up and down. And this is one of the trickiest. This one is related to Vata. And so Mandagni is related to Kapha. Tikshna Agni is related to Pitta, and Vishma is Vata. And so this is, I'm going to stop right there. I don't want you to get overwhelmed by the names. It's a simple concept of just that when our digestion is cold, we have cold things going on. Things stop, they get stuck. Tikshna Agni is that fire, is that movement. And Vishma is more of like that windy. So imagine a fire that is going up and it's down and it sputters sometimes, and then sometimes it's out completely. So one day you can digest like a champ, and then like the next day you're miserable. And so these are people who are constantly going, wait, I ate that yesterday and I was fine, and now I had it today and I'm hurting. Why is this? So it's the irregularity that feeds this confusion, not only in your mind, but in your gut ecosystem. So this is where it's allowing the fungus and the bacteria to really seize control. So fluctuating digestion mirrors things like blood sugar swings and cortisol surges and IBS type patterns. And it is absolute perfect conditions for microbial chaos. I had one client who came to me, and I mean, once we balanced her Vishma Agni, like her world changed. She started sleeping again. She stopped having panic attacks. She was able to get off anxiety meds. Like, so much good happens when we balance these flames. So in James 1:8, it describes a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So when we have irregular digestion, this creates the same instability inside of our gut. Our body is not sure how to process what it's given. It's not sure if food is coming, if food's not coming. It's absolute confusion and chaos. All right, we will get to how to work on this, but I want to tell you the fourth one, which is the balanced Agni. And this is Sama Agni. And this is where we are eating food and we are digesting it and we feel energetic and we can sleep and our moods are balanced and our bowel movements are balanced. And so this is something that we're striving for, right? Now, many of us we all have a type. And as Ayurvedic practitioners, when we work one-on-one, which is an option with me, we go through and we find out what your type is. Now you can do, little online quizzes, but they're not going to really give you the whole picture. If something's 10 questions, 15 questions, we usually spend about an hour going through after you've done paperwork so we can really get down to the root of a problem. And so what we really want to know is like what your constitution is, like how are you born? And then we want to know what the imbalance is. And then once we do that, then we can really get down to the brass tacks of it all. So in my course, 7 Principles to Healing Digestion and Managing Weight, I have a detailed class on how to determine which Agni imbalance you have, how to correct it, and how to cleanse properly so you can finally heal. It's simple, but it's pretty detailed. But for now, I want to help you as much as I can. So here are 3 things you can start doing today. The first thing is that you can eat with rhythm. So sacred texts and ancient wisdom talks about emphasizing the season. So eating food in their season. So as this recording is coming out, it's summer coming into fall. And so we're finishing up with like our tomatoes and our melons and those type of things, our cucumbers. And we're going to start getting into like the garlics and the potatoes and the pumpkins and things like that. And then we're going to go into spring, and the spring's going to be our greens and our cleansing herbs. So if we can kind of start to step more into that rhythmic cycle, oh, it's going to feel so much better, as well as rhythms of rest. Make sure you're not pushing yourself too hard and not running faster than you have strength. So our digestion thrives on principles, regular meal times. And in my course, you will learn about each one of the principles in detail and how to apply it specifically to your constitution and your imbalance. So that's something to look forward to. We don't want to be constantly grazing. Number 2 is we want to simplify those meals. So ancient cultures talk about eating in season, but also eating just simple foods, like, less than 5 ingredients. And so the fewer ingredients that you can have reduces the digestive burden. And I'm going to add digestive spices, right, to really spice things up. It doesn't have to be bland. It does not have to be something that is not exciting, but it can be very, very tasty. The third thing is to calm yourself before you eat. Say a prayer, do some deep breathing, take a moment for some gratitude, and this will shift your nervous system into rest and digest. So this is super important. So now we know that there are 3 types of imbalances: Manda Agni, which is the sluggish fire; Tikshna Agni, which is the overfired furnace; Vishama Agni, which is the flickering flame; and Sama Agni, which is balanced digestion. And the 3 things to focus on this week are eat with rhythm, simplify your meals, and be calm before you eat. So maybe the bacteria, fungus, or yeasts aren't the enemy. Maybe they're just the messengers pointing you back to the deeper imbalance, the flame of your digestion. So balance your fire, and the uninvited guests lose their foothold. So as Psalm 104 says, you make the winds your messenger, flames of fire your servants. So what if your digestive flame, once balanced, could become a servant of your healing rather than the source of your disease? So I want to thank you for joining me today. And if this episode sparked something in you, pun intended, share it with a friend who's struggling with gut health. Because when we understand the fire within, we hold the key to lasting health. So I do have, if you look in the show notes, please, please, please go there, sign up for my DIY program. If you want balanced hormones, then we do the menstruating women one. If you want the cleansing, then we do the non-menstruating or the men's course. All it is, every course has the 7 principles to heal digestion, manage weight. It's just from there, where do you want your focus? Truly on balancing hormones or on cleansing? And so if you have a struggle with SIBO, H. pylori, E. coli infections, fungus, bacteria, these type of things, I would suggest doing the cleansing program. And the link is in the show notes. So I know that it can feel overwhelming when life feels crazy when you don't feel your best. And with so many voices out there, it's hard to know where to turn. My heart is to make this simple for you. I want to give you a clear path so you can get back to doing what you were designed to do with energy, purpose, and focus. So this is why I created this DIY program that lays everything out step by step in a simple, easy to access format. You can even get it in an app on your phone if you're an iOS user. Just click the link in the show notes and you'll have everything you need right at your fingertips. Please, please, please don't feel like you have to suffer anymore. And until next week, I will wish you happy digesting.
If this episode encouraged you or offered practical insight, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing with even one friend helps more people discover this message, and Jami is truly grateful for your support. Be sure to check the show notes for free downloads, helpful resources, and a link to join Jami's private Facebook group for extra support and community that blends practical health with biblical truth. Just a reminder, Jami isn't a doctor, so always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health plan.